of a 7-part series that we're doing on how to strengthen your immune system. I want to welcome you to the Body, Mind, Soul Project. Like I said, my name is Yermaya Durrani, and we're going to be talking about tips and ways that you can naturally boost your immune system so that you can possibly prevent disease. And even if you are contracting some sort of a disease, you may be able to recover from it faster because you've got a stronger immune system. And the reason I want to talk about this at this time is because obviously we're all living in the middle of a global pandemic right now. And I think this is the best time for us all to be putting practices and things like that into place that are going to naturally boost our immunity if we can, because literally our life can depend on it. And the way that I'm going to be doing this is I'm doing a 7-part series. The first part was yesterday. I'll be doing an episode every day. The first part was just an introduction. So if you missed that, don't worry, you haven't missed too much. The next 6 episodes are going to be 6 individual steps and actions that you can take that are proven to strengthen your immune system. So just a quick disclaimer, I'm not a physician. If you have any pre-existing conditions or if you're considering making any drastic changes to your lifestyle, please do consult a physician before you do so. So without further ado, let's get down to it. I just want to talk about what it is that we're going to basically get into, like sort of giving you guys an agenda of what we're going to talk about today. Today is going to be a very, very simple episode because we're going to be talking about a concept that is very common sense and very simple, and that is proper hygiene. There's only 2 things that I'm basically going to talk about. Number 1 is what are the benefits of proper hygiene? And I'm not just necessarily talking about what it is in terms of a benefit to your health, but I'm also talking about other benefits that you can get from having proper hygiene. Excuse me a second. I think this might make it so that people can hear me a little bit better. Anyway, the benefits of proper hygiene is the first thing that we're going to talk about. The next thing that we're going to talk about is what proper hygiene looks like, especially in regards to specifically trying to bolster our immune system and trying to keep ourselves healthy. So let's get to it. All right, number 1, the benefits of proper hygiene. Okay, so like I said, not all of these are to do with health. There's many, many benefits to proper hygiene. So what I'm going to try and do first is I'm going to try and sell you guys on proper hygiene. So first of all, body image. Okay, proper hygiene affects our self-esteem, our confidence, and our motivation. Okay, no matter what we think, people are going to be judging us because of how we look. Whether that is a good thing or a bad thing, whether it's ethical, that is besides the point, because it happens. We judge people and people judge us. That's the truth, and it's basically unavoidable. So if I'm at work or something like that, and I haven't been taking care of my hygiene, and maybe I'm a little stinky or something, people are going to be judging me. That might not be very good for my self-esteem. If I hear people sort of talking about me behind my back or something, an easy way to avoid that is to just take care of my hygiene. Number 2, social reasons. Okay, so this kind of ties in with the body image thing, except that the body image thing is a little bit more about how we perceive ourselves, right? So, we as human beings are social animals, and we hate to be talked about in a negative manner. Basically, by keeping our body clean, we're assuring that we're projecting a positive image, which is obviously what we want. Everybody wants other people to like them, and nobody wants to, think that other people are thinking about them in a negative sort of way. Okay. Then number 3, obviously health reasons. If you cut yourself, the wound should be cleaned so that it doesn't get infected, right? Washing our hands, can prevent a plethora of diseases. Things like head lice, athlete's foot, etc. are linked to our hygiene, and they can all be prevented, by just taking care of how clean we keep ourselves. And then psychological reasons is another benefit of proper hygiene. Our chances of success at work or our chances of attracting the opposite sex increase with proper hygiene, exponentially. But more importantly, it affects the way that we see ourselves and the way that others see us. For example, If I've been lounging around all day or for a few days playing video games all the time, watching Netflix and eating pizza for 3-4 days and I haven't taken a shower, I'm probably going to be feeling like, ugh. But if I hop in the shower, maybe shave, take a cold shower or something like that, at the end of the day, I'm going to be feeling fresh. It changes the way that I feel. Changing the way that I feel gives me confidence, and that can only be good for me. All right, now let's talk about hygiene for basically boosting your immune system, or bolstering your immunity, I should say, okay? So the number one thing that we can do, so I'm going to give this a whole section, is basically washing our hands. And I know that washing our hands is something that's been getting a lot of traction lately because of the environment that we're in. Because of COVID-19, washing our hands has sort of been brought to the forefront. But I want to basically get into all of the times that you want to specifically make sure that you're washing your hands, okay? Like I said, it's the ultimate thing that we can do, because the number one way to contract a disease is through hand-to-hand contact, okay? So wash your hands anytime you go outside and you come back home. So if you're leaving the house and when you come back, wash your hands. Okay, anytime you or the kids go to the park and the kids are about to play on the jungle gym, you're probably going to be holding your kid's hand afterwards. It's a good idea to maybe take some, hand sanitizer or something with you, and use it at the time. And then, of course, wash your hands when you get home, okay? When you go out to eat at a restaurant, that's a public place. People are going to be touching things. Who knows how often these people wash their hands, right? So when you go to a restaurant right before you eat, make sure you wash your hands at that time, okay? When caring for somebody that is ill, so this is kind of a no-brainer, but sometimes we forget about it. So we might be caring for a loved one because they've got the cold or the flu or something like that. We're making sure that they're looked after. But what we forget is to look after ourselves and wash our hands, and that's going to prevent the chances of us actually getting sick, right? And then when handling pets, like the family dog, everybody loves Fido, but Fido might be carrying, all kinds of diseases and things like that. So if we're handling the family dog, we need to remember to wash our hands afterwards, okay? Animals harbor all kinds of diseases. In fact, they say that the origin of COVID-19 was from a wet market in China where there was all of these animals that were being handled by humans, okay? When you're handling or preparing food, especially meat and vegetables, make sure that you wash your hands. And then on a side note, especially with meat and vegetables, make sure that you don't cut them on the same cutting board. Have a separate cutting board for cutting your meat and have a separate cutting board for cutting your vegetables, and that way it's going to help to prevent diseases like Salmonella, E. coli, and things like that. So, this is the one that I'm the most negligent about. I'll be honest with you, washing my hands. My wife is always on my case, reminding me to wash my hands. So kind of going through this process and just doing a little bit of the research to do with this program for you guys has brought this to my forefront. And hopefully I'm going to benefit from this as much as anybody else. Okay, honorable mentions, okay, in terms of your hygiene in regards to bolstering your immunity. Okay, the number one thing that we can do is wash our hands, but then honorable mentions go to dental hygiene, okay? Flossing and brushing your teeth are going to prevent a lot of gum diseases. Preventing gum diseases is going to allow your immune system to do what it's supposed to do and make sure that your body's taken care of. If your immune system has to take care of your body because you're not taking care of your hygiene over there, and it has to take care of your mouth as well because of gum disease, then that might be stretching it a little bit too thin, and it could leave you open and more, sort of vulnerable to contracting some sort of an illness. And if you do contract an illness, it might take longer for you to recover. Okay. Another thing is keeping our body and, feet cleaned, right? It can help prevent athlete's foot. It can help prevent all kinds of skin fungus. And of course, keeping our body clean can help us to avoid lice as well. So very, very straightforward, right? I know that this is common sense stuff, but sometimes it's good to have it all laid out and know exactly what the best practices are. Okay, so to conclude, I just want to say that prevention is the first line of defense, right? So there was two parts to this. There was prevention and being proactive, right? I touched briefly on the prevention, but future episodes are going to be about how we can be proactive and do other things to bolster our immunity as well. You know, the silver lining about being in the middle of a global pandemic like this is that it gives us an opportunity to put proper habits in place. And, you know, in a perfect world, once these proper habits are in place and we get out of this mess, you know, we'll continue those habits. And that means that we'll have a healthier future ahead of us, God willing. So I just want to remind you guys to join us tomorrow when we start talking about immunity boosting foods. So please like, share, or follow if you got any value out of this. And I want to thank you guys so much for joining in. You have a great evening, and I will talk to you soon. Take care and goodbye.